And welcome again to another session of High Vibe Channeling on this February 12th, 2026. And today we get me, Ray Heitman, and we're going to start out with the Andromedans who wish to come in and deliver a message. And then we'll take a short break and bring in the tall whites who have another message. So it should be an energetic evening, if nothing else. And thank you all for coming and for watching. We are with you in ways you cannot fathom. And yes, we did provide a topic about the holes within you. And what we are discussing is not your physical attributes, for you are indeed not physical. So there can be no physical holes in that way, but we must use the terminology which you understand to explain things which you do not. And because you are a rather enlightened group and experienced, we trust that you will be able to get the gist of our meaning, or we would not even attempt it. The you that you know of energetically has to have room to grow, to expand, to explore. For indeed, although you do many, many, many different realities in the same moment point, it is through those gaps, those holes within your energetic centers which serve a purpose. And those are, in some ways, a mixing bowl, so that you may sample a little of this energy and a little of this energy and say, oh, well, this being did this. This group of beings did this. And I wonder how this looks as expressed in this particular dimension. And by combining things anew, you create more of you. You do honor to all that is. And you fill those holes which you have left for your expansion. And in doing so, create more of you. Learn more about you as you do with each breath, which is also anew and anew you. Now, there are many ways in which you can plug those gaps, we will say. And those are beyond your reckoning in this limited form which you have chosen, which we are speaking through. But we wanted to bring that to you because every time you stretch your mind, you grow. You create more of those spaces that you can fill in with your experiences, your probabilities. And not only that, from the other side, we will say, outside of you, other beings can look in and tap into those gaps, to test the waters, to mingle with you energetically, and put not only ideas in your minds, but put minds in your ideas. That is not a contrast. It is just the further spherical exploration of how things work outside your physical reality, or how they can work if it is chosen that way. There are many other beings who do that. That is a common formula amongst all beings who choose physicality. For in doing so, you leave the greater part of your non-physical portions behind, outside in ways of your physical thinking. And that allows all who desire, who choose to look into those opportunities or experiences to learn more about themselves as well and how you, in a limited and a larger sense, are developing. For that is important for many, many beings inside your soul group, over soul group, and beyond. It is those novel expressions which cast the brightest light, which draw the attention of the millions and billions of energies and beings who exist. Now, for being your authentic self, you create the most opportunity. You create holes or gaps of greater depth because you have wider spaces in which to explore because you have more energy coming to you from your non-physical portions. And you can view that as a black hole if you wish, if that serves you, where you are sucking in all of the energies and light forms that you can into your center. And while there is no physical attributes for that, that concept is accessible to you and hopefully acceptable to you as well. And of course, you deprive nothing of itself, of its consciousness. Those are all given freely by interested beings, by interested consciousness, of which all consciousness is a being, whether an idea, an elemental, or a thought, or an emotion. So when you are your most loving self in your expression, you create even more room for growth. For that means that you have overcome many of your challenges which you have set before yourself, by yourself as well. And we encourage you to do so. And it is that loving which aids in the connections, which helps you expand even more than you can imagine. For, of course, you exist in areas, in realms, in densities which are beyond you at this time, even in ways beyond your sleep states. There are some who can access those and bring them back, but they are not very numerous on your planet at this time. They will become so in the decades to follow. For all in your linear realm will become new beings, will assume their light bodies in your vernacular, your way of describing things. When in fact, you are all light bodies now, but in a densified terminology, you will be less dense. And ironically, that is appropriate in a mental capacity for you humans as well. And that is pretty much all we had to say in this, but we felt it important to get our foot in the door to come forth to you one more time to interact in this way. For before we had no predetermined message, but we wish to see how this comes out, how you react, what the energetic changes are, and how it changes your probabilities in your futures, which of course change all of the universe as well. And we like to see how it unfolds. That is our joy. That is our desire. Otherwise, we would not do it. And there will be other forays into your realm as a testing ground, as a method of exploration for us, because you are not only willing subjects, but this is an intense transformation of not only your planet, but millions of different types of energies for each being involved adds something unique to your experiences as an Earth collective. And we do love novel happenings. And thank you for allowing us to participate not only in this particular session, but in your lives in ways to come and guide you and your kind and other species on your planet. For we are pleased that you have done so willingly, or we would not have bothered to even stop by. You are that important to us. Not that you should be honored by our attention, but we do not say that you should not be honored as well. And if you have questions, it is customary for this group to pause at some point and see what you cast forth for us so that we may try to enlighten you in ways which you hope will benefit you.
We are so thankful that you came and in helping to enlighten us. And you do have some questions, and I'm going to ask those who have the questions that when you see it's your turn, just begin asking your question.
And thank you for assuming the leadership role. It is one you are well acquainted with, although not in this capacity, in this form. For your decisions do help shape worlds in a more energetic form. And you have come here for this particular realm, your particular role, to not only bring awareness, but to do much work in your sleep states to restore harmony and balance and to reassure many beings. And although you may seem busy during your waking hours, it is 10 times as busy when your consciousness is at rest and free to roam. And thank you.
And blessings to you for that message. I appreciate that so much.
I have a question. Thank you so much for interacting with us, for guiding us, for being here for us. We all really appreciate it.
Are you buttering us up?
Of course I am. My question is, I'd like to know more about our light bodies. You said that is it the near future, like um, our time span of the group that's here, that we will experience more of our light body and our physical body being less dense?
It is more of a vibrational quality.
Okay.
For instance, the faster you vibrate in your linear realm, the more gaps you create in ways. Because each time you move back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you create a space between those 2 points of farther and nearer, regardless of which way you go, because your linear landscape is built that way. And if you do it faster, then each time you divide that space, if you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
and you insert more space into it with each of those divisions, much like you would on your ruler,
Mm-hmm.
your meter stick, because you can get one and it has inches and it has half inches and quarter inches, but each time you vibrate even higher, you differentiate with smaller increments and therefore create less density, even though it does not affect how you relate to or experience your reality. It is, in some ways, being able to put more spirit into your form.
Oh, very cool. Very nice.
Because when we say light body, that has many different meanings. Your language is cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
It is silly and possibly ludicrous that you have words that mean different things that sound the same. How are you supposed to figure them out?
So true.
But you are light, you are love. Those are synonymous for your way of thinking, even though there are differentiations outside of it. It serves to think of those as linked, as one side of a coin, the other side being the other absolutes, the darkness and the density. But you live all on the bright side, you will say. So
Yes.
the light body is more of a less dense, higher vibrational form, which has more gaps to allow more energy, more love frequency, more interactions and connections to flow in, which flow even faster or vibrate even faster than yours do. It is like trying to watch one of your sewing machines going at a very high rate and playing each time the needle goes up. You're dancing underneath it, and then you zip out again and it comes down.
Wow. I have a related question. Um, uh, when you talk about higher vibration, I know meditation and gratitude practices and being more loving and compassionate raise our vibration. I was wondering, um, does listening to higher vibrational tones or sounds help?
If you believe it does,
Okay.
keep in mind there are many energies lifting your entire world up from inside the earth, from outside the earth, from all of the planets, all of the moons, all of the ships. They are all bombarding your earth with more energy, and that is lifting all on it up to a higher vibration. That is part of the master plan. So, although you can think of it in terms of your own individual vibration, the overall larger vibration, we will say, is more relevant. For
Yes.
indeed you are all one, as we are with you as one, as part of the one, and nothing is separate except for these individualizations for the growth that our higher realms have chosen to embark upon. Now, on an individual basis, there are no secrets about how you can raise your vibration. You get rid of the stuff that doesn't serve you.
Mhm.
You release your traumas, your beliefs which do not serve you. You act in a more loving capacity and train yourself to remove all of those patterns of behaviors which are reactionary and are not heart-centered. For
Yeah.
the best that any human could be in that moral viewpoint, we will say, is to love all at all times.
Mhm.
You would not be human if you achieve that, because you came to get as close to that as you can, if that is your desire.
Mhm.
For indeed, there are many beings on your planet who come to stir the pot, to
Right.
be the example, to cause the chaos, to help bring that knowledge that you have those energies within you as a people, as a planet, so
Mhm.
that you can recognize them and choose otherwise. They are all angels in your way of thinking. It's just some have dressed themselves in the, we don't wish to say devilish costumes, because that is ludicrous, as well as those do not exist except for those who believe in them.
Mhm.
But you get our
We understand. Yes.
yes, although
And
the right word escaped us, that example
gist.
will serve.
We get the gist.
That's the word we were searching for. Thank you.
I just want to express my deep gratitude for you, for all the beings that are helping this planet. Um, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And we ask you, is all of your gratitude deep? Do you ever have shallow gratitude?
Maybe.
A little variety is the spice of life, we understand.
Oh, we so enjoy. I so enjoyed this interaction. Thank you. I will let the next person go.
And enjoying that interaction raises your vibration, like you said.
It does. You're right.
And thank you.
Greetings to you,
And to you,
and thank you very much for being with us today. It
do
is
you have
indeed
your
a pleasure.
cape yet?
Well, there is an imaginary one. Yes, thank you.
Work on that manifestation. It
Indeed.
doesn't have to be imaginary.
Hmm.
You don't have to have it fur-lined, but letting it unfurl out behind you so people can say, oh, there's courage. I understand now. That is an example I can follow. And flip back your hair to emphasize that point.
Hmm. Yes, thank you for that. I will work on it. You mentioned that we help a lot of beings in other realms. However, we are, as it is known, very limited in this expression and focus. So I was wondering if you could help us through an example or to see through their eyes and feel how how exactly are we helping them and how is it from their point of view.
That was many questions.
Mm,
The first answer is yes, we can. But that is only going to lead to more questions, for you demand details. But keep in mind, there are many races of physical beings who took millions of years in your way of thinking to get to the point where they understood that they are spirit having a physical experience and they have a vast multitude of other lives, as you would say. Expressions is a more true form, we will say, a truer form. And the way that you humans have done that is of great interest. That is why the open contact scenarios are highly valued, because it is the tipping point where you become more of yourself. And in only a 500,000 years or so, you are certainly working on the fast track, although it appears to be a mighty bumpy road at this point. From the grander view, and if you realize that you have had dozens of lives to get to this point, even though this point has always existed and will exist, it is still novel because that's how you think of it. And even that aspect is important, a learning experience for other types of beings, physical or not. There are so many, many different realms, and easily over 95% of them have no surprises. They have nothing they can do for the first time, because they know it already exists. They do not disillusion themselves and say, oh, look what I've done. They say, oh, look, I have experienced this. But humans can say, look, I created this. It's brand new. I bought a new car. I have a new hairstyle. That is a wonderful thing, and it is a novel expression. And although it may seem somewhat humorous to some of the beings like ourselves, like the fact that some humans believe that they are actually alone when they don't exist as human in the first place, those are some of the ways in which you are teaching and entertaining and exploring more of yourself in this, what Bashar terms the master class of Earth. And we're glad that that answered your question. And if you have another, Miss Courage, please ask again.
Well, it certainly acts, your answer, as a very good reminder and appreciation of everything we go through here, because looking it from down here, it doesn't look that exciting, but if you look at it from the other side, then it really is. So thank you for that.
And we know that you know there is no other side, but we understand what you meant. And more buttering us up. It must be that kind of night.
It is your energy that brings that out in us. So
Ah, if
that mirror
we had
thing.
hair, we would throw ours back as well.
Yay.
Greetings, lovely, glorious Andromedans. We're so happy that you're here with us. Thank you.
That is more facetious than honoring, but please continue.
Well, ironically, it was facetious, and yet I meant every bit of it, so take that as you will.
It is a reflection of you.
If you say so.
And we'll leave that up to you to see if we are being facetious.
Right. Okay. Good mirroring. Um, Gosh, every one of those questions sparks all kinds of questions. Um, Now to decide which one. Gosh. Let me ask this one. This is something I heard a while ago that I found very interesting, and you speaking about how we're on the fast track here, 500,000 years. That reminded me of something I had heard, and I'd love to hear your take on it. That love as we know it, love that as we experience it, never hadn't really come into existence until like 5,000 years ago, or however that can be expressed in a nonlinear term. Basically, that humans just didn't experience love like they do now. I always thought that was a human condition, a human emotion, a human experience, but I was given the impression that actually no, that's kind of a newer thing that has come onto the scene. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
There is nothing but love. It has always existed. Source, wishing to know more of itself, loved itself into additional fractions of itself, fractals of beings, which create immense networks of beings. Now, the realization of love has always existed as well, but it was a knowing, and there was nothing outside of it. That is what is new for humans, to understand that the first creatures which came upon your planet knew they were part of a whole. They did not view themselves as individuals, they viewed themselves as the whole, having an individual role and a part to play, like one note in a vast orchestra. It is humans who decided to remove that note from the entire orchestra and see if they could play it another way and disregard all of the rest. And that was more love of self as well. So, what you are referring to is the innate knowledge to try to categorize love. And obviously, that has failed, or you would not have 406 definitions of it. You would invent other words for love, except you can love your new shoelaces. You can love your new babies. You can love the color of that nail polish. You can even love things differently. You see shows and you see them time and time again, and each time you love it differently. But it's the same word. But it's never the same. Ironic.
This is very fascinating. Okay, so let me repeat back an impression I have gotten amidst what you've just said to me. Um, Before, all beings understood that we were all part of one. So that is its own kind of love. But I guess 5,000 years ago is sort of when the veil was implemented. So the illusion of separation came into play. And so love took a completely different um, essence because of the whole separation element that was added to the mix, or I guess the individuality or the unity was taken out of the mix, whichever, however way you want to say it. So is that kind of also why this was a different kind of love that came because of the whole separation illusion?
No,
No? Okay.
you are just viewing it in an extremely limited view, ignoring all of the other million Earths which exist. Those original Earths, in your linear way of speaking, still exist in a wholeness where every consciousness on it, in all of its varied forms, understands that it is a loving bond of the whole. There are limited forms of Earths which it is total chaos, where they have totally forgotten how to trust, how to love, where they disown love in certain ways, in certain aspects, and view it as a weakness. Now, all things exist. You are in this particular one frame of a million-year story, which goes by at a million frames a second. And you just choose one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. So anything that you can assume is true. And that's what your imagination is for. But there have always been beings and energies who are creating you and your experience and your shared experience out of love. For they love growing, they love exploring, they love being more and expanding the knowledge and awareness of all that is. That is a greater and grander love than exists on your planet, except perhaps by the planet itself for all of the beings which she supports. Now, we do not wish to demean your limited aspect because you're doing the best you can do. And it is a fabulous exploration because you wish to expand your knowledge. That is the miracle of your master class, is the remembering. And without asking, you would have to turn inward and get these answers. But you chose the fast track for this evening. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually have another question real quick.
We are
Oh,
not
I will ask
surprised.
after
We are
Christiana.
surprised it is quick.
Okay, you also had touched base on how everything already exists. So there's no, I just got a new haircut or a new car. It already exists. And that has always, that concept, I understand it, but it has always intrigued me because I'm an author and I write stories. So the concept of me writing a story that already exists, is it this that the story already exists? It's not that I don't know. That's kind of an interesting one for me. It means I've already written it. I've already
Yes,
written it, or it has already existed before I wrote it.
both and more. And all of your books have already turned to dust. And all of your books and the lives they are based upon, which you pull into your literary forms, have all ceased to exist and have progressed into spirit form consciously already, and all of the different variations in between. The intense and immense grandness of reality, a truer reality, is well beyond what your greatest minds have ever even considered or imagined in ways, because you are forced to work within the confines you have created. You have accepted the roles which were designated for this particular form of expression, this density. All of the grander and other dimensions cannot express themselves in this density, no more than you can be an ice cube and stick around for hours in a pot of boiling water in that form. Because once you enter it, it changes you. It changes the energy. It changes the expression. It creates anew, and it affects all within that realm. And you experience for all dimensions. It is that ripple of energy, of expansion, It is like all of the notes which you cannot hear in all of the radio stations and all of the orchestras and live performances that are going on now. They have all happened now. That is the only place, the only time which exists. So, yes, all of the characters which you have drawn forth parts of your other selves to express them have already existed and always will exist.
Well, okay, so that was actually my second question regarding that. So like Bashard said, if you think of something, you can only think of it because it already exists. So when I think of characters and stories for those characters, does that mean those characters literally exist in that story? Their story has they've lived it for real, or I have just literally already just thought of that story before, and that thought of that idea of that fictional story already exists. Does that make sense?
What do you consider for real?
Well, I would consider for real meaning those beings actually exist, have lived that lifetime that I have written the story about. That to me is saying it's for real versus just fiction, just an idea
Do you exist for real?
I would like to think so, yes. But I guess it depends on, yes, the level. At God's source level, I guess I am just an idea, right? I am just a
Do the
story, but
thoughts exist for real?
mhm.
Is there anything which does not exist for real?
But an idea of a story is different than characters
Oh, is it?
actually. Yeah, isn't it?
Oh, how so? We're very interested. Please, everyone, take notes.
And that's why I'm asking you.
Each thought is consciousness. It is all vibration. It is all energy. It is just different forms, different frequencies, different resonances, and each changes, which eat with every realm that it comes into contact with and every other form of energy it comes into contact with.
Would you
So
say
there's
then,
nothing that you can think of which is not real.
would you say then that what I'm doing is almost like the micro to the macro when God thinks of an expression, which is what we would termini, whatever the word is, what we would consider an incarnation or an expression. Would you say I'm doing the same thing with my characters? And so they are as real as I am real in that
We would
respect?
say, why do you need external validation for that? And why would you care what we think?
Well, it's not that I need external validation. I'm
And if
curious.
we
I'm
say, no,
exploring
you
that
don't
idea.
exist, will that change how you view yourself?
Well, no, I'm just exploring
Okay,
the
will that
idea.
change how you view other things if we say they don't exist?
No, what I'm
Okay,
asking is
thank
if
you
I'm
very
doing,
much for being so succinct in your answer to your own question. For indeed, you are a masterful creator. And yes, if you can think of it, that is energy. It exists. It has consciousness, as all which exists has consciousness. There is nothing without consciousness. You may say that consciousness is love. It is just sometimes in your realm expressed in a very maligned form at times. But that is what it is. And we understand the gist of your question. You're just trying to wrap your mind around yourself, which is creating everything in your experience for real.
thank you.
We almost believe you mean that. But yes, keep doing what you're doing. keep expressing and drawing in those additional energies, exploring new ways of expression through your creative aspects. That is your passion. And we urge you to bring more of that passion within you before you start. Because at times, as you know, as you all know, sometimes those things which humans feel they have to do or they should do not flow near as well as those things which you are excited to do. And that is part of your reality as well, the ebb and flow, the fluctuations of your energy, which is why it is expressed as a range. For you cannot maintain your highest vibration all of the time. You need that contrast. And thank you for being so forward in your questions and for coming forth with those inquiries which benefit more than just yourself. You are truly working for the many. And we're not being facetious.
So, going back to that fast track, I like that idea. And I was wondering, if you wish, would you like to share an example of another realm where we are co-creating, like me and you?
While we are able to bring that to you, you are not equipped to understand or comprehend it, no more than you can imagine a life as a toucan, because it is so different from yours. And when you express yourself as a non-physical being, you have extreme difficulties imagining what that is like. I mean, it is hard for humans to imagine, oh, I'm gravity. What is that like? I am a volt of electricity. What is that like? And it escapes you because you are not equipped to bring that into your mental capacity with any sort of profound realization, some comprehension. And the other realms you exist in are the same. Now, if we say, oh, you are a Syrian being who is on the border of non physicality from their side, because they do not exist in your way of knowing in the physical realm. They have their own creatures, like your cetaceans, which are expressions of them in the physical realm that they have chosen. So if we say, yes, you are this being, or you are this energy, but that is not going to be of great service or help to you because you cannot understand it. And it is not a failing, it is the limits which you have imposed upon yourself.
I will then accept and appreciate my limitations for now, but thank you anyway for giving us a prompt to try and imagine an existence outside of the physical.
Well, if you wanted to be truer to yourself, imagine yourself without limitations, for you
Hmm.
have none. It is only you imagining you have limitations which prevent you from imagining more of yourself. Now, in totality, that is not a possibility, we will say, in the human form, but you can escape your human form. You can think beyond it. You can assume an identity of non-physical. And while you may not be able to comprehend it and take a look around with your expanded senses, it will still serve you to allow more of you to flow into the physical form you have chosen. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
And do not be put off, any of you, because you are asking very intense and enlightened questions. The you who you were 5 years ago would not even be able to contemplate asking those questions. That is how far you have come. Congratulations. Just for the asking.
Thank you.
And you have all created more gaps in yourself, which you are allowing more energies to flow in just from this particular session. You have fulfilled our message, although in some what you might consider a teeny tiny way, but you are so huge it could still be an ocean of experience that you are allowing in, and you would experience it more as a dust speck because you are so grand, so limitless, so infinite in your overall expression. And if there are no more questions to be voiced anyway, for there are more questions, we will return you to your human, and he may go about his further quest in bringing in other guests for you for this evening. And we are pleased that you have come to hear us in this way so that we may investigate and observe you all in your myriad of forms and how these interactions affect you in more of your grander states. And although we do not exist in all of the forms of you, it is still interesting to us to look at all of the ones which we do. For each of those interactions is different and new to us. You can think on that as well. For we are you, and you are looking at more experiences of us in our varied existences as well. You just don't know it yet.
Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Greetings. That was very expansive.
It was really good.
Oh, good. They and when I asked, like, 'cause I asked the future Pleiadians about them. I don't, well, you guys probably might have seen that video about the major players in open contact. And they said that they tend to mock humans because it keeps us interested and it gives them a personality.
Mhm.
I was like, wow, I would never think about that. I mean, oh, I'm going to make you like me by making fun of you and being sarcastic. Oh, okay. I don't know, maybe that's not too far off what I do.
You
They
know,
are very much the coyote or the contrary teachers. I was shaking my head going, oh my gosh, they presented this and now, whoa, there's this flip of what's coming in. And so, up here you're going, okay, get out of this because this is not working. Let's go down here to the heart and see if we can grasp what these things that bringing from both sides, literally.
Yeah. And like when Angie was asking her question, they almost brought up the example of pretend that you're riding a Ferris wheel. And now pretend that you are every person who has ever ridden on that Ferris wheel. You're just remembering that one experience.
Wow.
And now tell us what all of the other rides were like.
Wow.
But we can't. I know we have a hard enough time when I say that is going back and remembering any of our Ferris wheel experiences. We might associate some emotions with it, whether we liked it, whether we were scared or whatever. But we can't imagine all of those other rides that we've taken, let alone all of the rides for every other person who has been on those Ferris wheels.
Mhm.
Angie, when you were talking about these characters
Mhm.
that you write about, um, my first book was, it was biographical. It was about me, my existence, and the reality of my life. and but I have two children's books as well. And when I write them, those beings, even though they're modeled a little about beings that I know, it is still like those little characters on that page with those words are as real as I am.
Mhm. Wow.
And it's a different form of giving life to something or to someone through those. And when I first started writing that first children's book, I didn't get that at all. I was just writing this book. And as I got more into it and more into it, I was like, this is reality. This is
Mhm.
not fiction. This is reality. And all of those little characters are just as real as if I was writing about something that actually happened as far as a biographical thing.
Yep.
So,
And
uh,
part of the stuff
Yeah.
that Angie's pulling in is her actual experiences in
yeah,
other lives. And
yeah.
the ones that have not been in the physical reality, you're still taking that energy and you're bringing it in. And those are the characters which give you life. And
Mhm.
she probably knows what I mean about that. And then she just fills in all of the other interactions around that energy.
Mhm.
And those sometimes we would think that those would be the easiest ones, to flush out. But in some ways, they're more difficult because we know what that energy is like and we want to be true to it, but that doesn't always fit in with the narrative of the story. So we kind of
Mhm.
have to change back and forth because we're always being pulled back to no, I want a truer representation of that energy. I want that emotional tag that we feel inside or that she feels inside.
Mhm.
Is that the way it works for you, Angie?
I mean, yeah, I think most authors would agree that every character is an aspect of themselves in
Yeah.
some way or form. So, which is not it's good sometimes, not so good others, but it does give, I mean, because we can only write what we know. So I've always found it fascinating that it feels like a lesser version of what Source does when it has different expressions and incarnations. Um, we're doing the same thing, but on a human level scale with our books and our characters. They aren't turned into flesh and bone, but they're just as real in every other sense of the word. I know all my readers absolutely consider my characters real, the way they talk about them. So, I mean, so it's just fascinating to me. It feels like a lesser version of the same thing happening. And I write fantasy, so you're creating worlds. It just all feels like a lesser version or a smaller micro version of what Source does, which I find so fascinating because in the same respect, when you talk to people about we are aspects of God. It's the same thing with my books. It's like, my book is literally consists of all of my essence.
Mhm.
Everything it is my essence one way or another. But that book isn't my entirety. That is made of entirely of me, but that book isn't all, the all of me. You know what I mean? So it's a cool kind of comparison to how we are
Yeah.
expressions of source too. It's kind of neat to think of it
But
that way.
all of your characters are not aspects of you. Some of them are aspects of other beings you are connected to and their interactions with others. Because
Hmm.
if they had a meaningful interaction, say it was a battle or a love story in a different realm or in a different time frame, then you can bring that in and you're like, well, yeah, this is how this is going to work out between these two, and this is what the end result is. And you get that framework, and then you put it into terms which you are familiar with your training and education have let you coordinate and coalesce all of this stuff into it's kind of like a unified signal in ways. That's what draws the people in and makes it believable because you flesh out all of the details which they depend on to grasp and hang on to that plot line or that scenery or that environment, whatever it happens to be. And they relate to that on their personal level for the same reason that you bring it forth, because it
Yeah.
relates to other parts of them and other interactions that they may have had as well.
And that's
So
interesting
cool.
because you say not all of my characters are aspects of me. And I would initially say, I don't know. I think kind of they are because how would I write them if I don't know them? But maybe in that respect, it's because we are all one. I am tapping into others that aren't me, but because we're all one, I'm able to tap into that on some level. It's just so cool to think about. I love it.
Yeah, but say, for instance, you're an extraterrestrial and
Mhm.
you're exploring a new society or a new planet and you're meeting all kinds of new creatures and you have that interaction between those new creatures. And then you say, okay, now you're drawing upon that,
Mhm.
but you're not putting those creatures in your story and they're not really your aspects. They're energetic representations of experiences that
Experiences.
happen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just so awesome how it expands and touches base into so many dimensions and aspects, and it's fabulous. It's really cool to think about.
It blows my mind.
Yeah,
It
it's really
does.
great.
I just give up. I'm just like saying, no, no, I just know that I can't understand it all. And I'm just taking what I'm getting and I'm going to be happy with that.
Mhm.
But you try a lot harder about that than I do. I'm just like, I just like all, like you want to know about all of your dreams. And I'm just like, I wrote them down. I'm done with them.
Well, I
If
guess
it,
so. I guess that's really all the integration that is required from you is writing it down.
yeah. Well, and we're all different for that
Right.
reason.
Right, exactly. Everyone has a different process.
Yeah.
I'm in a Seth dream community. And people are always looking for help. They're like, can you tell me how this, what this means? And sometimes the people who write the dreams or who share their dreams, then they're saying, well, this is what I think this means for me. This is what it reminds me of. And they pull things out of their linear history that to give it some context for them. And I'm thinking, I don't know if any of that even fits, but just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
But that's, that's how I look at it. So I'm like, nobody else can tell me really. Now I trust like some of the entities, like Tom and Illy or Serge and Chris, they can come in and tell me some of that stuff, and I would put a lot of credence into their interpretation of that particular dream. But
Well, if it resonates, it's got to resonate.
well, not necessarily, because I accept all kinds of stuff, whether it resonates or not.
Hmm.
I just have
For
to,
your dreams, though, wouldn't it have to resonate when it's your dream, though?
no, I just take what they say, and if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't mean it's not a valid interpretation.
Well, yeah, a valid interpretation,
Yeah,
right?
so I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it, though.
Hmm.
I'm not looking at it as so much a personal revelation. I'm just looking at, oh, well, that's really interesting that this particular consciousness believes that this is what this is representative of. And,
Hmm.
and if I choose to integrate it, then I integrate it. But if not, I'm just fascinated with the process that it happened. It's like watching a magic trick. I don't need to know all the ins and outs to enjoy the magic trick. I'm just like, yeah, I got a good emotion out of that, and I'm curious about what happens, but I'm not spending any more time on it because I don't care.
Yeah, I love the dreams, and I do care. It's funny, everyone's
Yeah,
different, and I just love learning about the psyche and how it speaks through symbology and symbolism, and it really does speak. And and of course it makes sense that it wouldn't speak through anything but that because it doesn't speak through English or any kind of verbal language. Of course it's got to talk in that way. And it's just really fascinating just to start learning the language of the psyche because it really does impart a lot of really great information.
I
Um,
agree.
if
And
someone's interested in learning
I'm
that.
gonna wrap up this session.